Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Grifters. If you've watched the introduction video or the first video, you'll understand the rules, so you'll be able to move straight in. I've set the game up for 3 players. The only difference with a 3-player game to a 4-player game is there's 65 million in money, as opposed to if it's a 4-player game, there are 75. On a 2-player game, there's only 50. Also, the number of locations available to send out teams is changed with each player count. So on a 4-player game, there's 5 available. On a 3-player game, which we're about to have, there's 4 available, as you can see. And on a 2-player game, there's only 3 available. Other than that, everything is played the same. So let's get started. Player 1 has these cards to start with. This card is the only one that we've got to really watch out for. It's able to be any of the 3 different types of card in terms of if you're putting them in a team, or if you play it by itself, you can play it into an opponent's hideout. This area is called the hideout, and you're abducting one of the opponent's cards. So you're basically replacing someone else's card with this card. So looking at the things I've got available, what I could do is send these 3, so it's 3 of the red, in on day 1 to be able to grab this first card. That also gets him 3 coins from the coffers, or 3 mil from the coffers. So that adds 3, 1, 2, 3 to his pile, and we move on to the next player. Okay, second player has 3 blue. That's probably the best one he can go for at the moment. Yep. So you'll notice that this guy's got 3 blue. He's going to be going for that one. So they go into his hideout. He takes the top one, and that allows him to draw 2 extra specialists. So put that down there. 1, 2. Now you notice I'm not even looking necessarily at the bottom of what these cards are at the moment, because I know that the biggest gains are usually added by getting these jobs completed. Okay, the third guy has 3 blue and a fist, or he could go 2 green and a fist. So if he went 2 green and a fist, he would be getting number 1 on the yellow ones, the hack credit system. If he were to go with the 3 blue and the fist, he'd be going number 2. That would stop the other guy from getting it. Look, he thinks that he'll actually go with those ones, the 3 blue and 1 fist, which will gain him this card. He gets 1 coin from each of his opponent's stash, plus he draws 2 specialists. So that's each opponent, so it's 2 there, and he gets to draw 2 specialists. There's the 2. So he's now got 2 blue and 2 green available to him for future stuff. Then it comes back to the first guy, who has 3 cards left. This one will allow him to get extra money from the coffers. This one allows him to get extra cards. At the moment, he thinks that there's value in extra cards, so he moves those guys forward to the next night, plays that, and takes the next 3 cards. He can take a red or a blue. He notices that the blues are kind of being taken up by the other 2 players, so there's not a whole bunch of value in that, except that allows him to swap a card that he has for an opponent's card. That allows him to take an action from one of these guys in his thing again, and that allows him to choose one of the specialists in his hand, and if the other players are showing that specialist in their hideout, then he'll get 1 money from each of them. So he thinks he might take that one for the moment. Okay, next up into the middle. Okay, he could take all 3 red fists and 1 green, which will allow him to take that one, but that would push this to knight 2. Once that pushes to knight 3, this one would go down, and then he's left with nothing in his hand. But the one that will go down in the next turn allows him to pick more cards up. So he'll have something in his hand to be able to play. It'll be a question mark of what that one is, but it might be a worthwhile one. So he will do that, just to get ahead of the other players. So he put down 3 reds and a green. Take this. He gets to take 3 mil from the coffers and draw 1 specialist. 3 in there and draw 1 specialist, which gives him that 1 specialist anyway, so he's actually able to do something with that as well. Move on to the next player. He's looking at 2 blue and 2 green. That's not going to help him out with any of the jobs up the top, so he'll need to go with one of their things. I think he's going to go with the fixer, because what that does is puts that in knight 1. He draws 2 specialists. This one allows him to return all but 1 card from one team in his hideout. This one allows him to duplicate the action of any opponent's specialists in knight 1 of their hideout. So, just looking at knight 1 of opponents, I think it's probably worthwhile getting the wheelman. So he'll take the wheelman, and the other one goes into the discard pile. Back to the first player. So we push all of them forward 1. We have these 3 available. This one's just take money from the coffers. That one's swap for something that's already there. He thinks he's just going to play that one, which will get him 2 mil from the coffers, which there's 2. Goes onto his pile, moves on to the next player. The next player is these 2 choices. So he can get more cards into his hand, or he can play the Femme Fatale. He thinks he'll actually play the Femme Fatale. So what the Femme Fatale does, she goes in there, she advances time, which means these guys come to the refresh area, and then I can play that one as well. So what I've now got is that guy's been played. I'll do that in a second, but I'll be able to pick all these cards up. If the Femme Fatale had been played when there was a pile there, this pile would go there as well. I don't pick those cards up yet. It stays there until the end of the turn. So anything in the refresh area stays there, even though there's an advancement of time. So the fixer is draw 2 specialists. 1 adds to my hand and discard the other, and then I steal 1 million from the coffers. So there's the 1 million from the coffers. He's picked up these 2. It's probably worthwhile grabbing that one at the moment. So that stays in his hand. Then the guys come up out of the refresh area, back to his hand. Okay, I think that you get a good feel for how this game is playing and how it will end up when we get to the end of it. It does go for a little while, so bear that in mind. The box reads half an hour. It generally, with first-time players, generally will take a lot longer than that, but that's the case with most games where there's a lot of reading involved. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you wish to be gamesplained, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to see what games I've been playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.